Yes.
Beautiful. All righty. So my name is Vanessa Cardenas. I'm a trusted advisor for betrayal and transformation. I am a C-suite executive for the last 20 years in healthcare, and I graduated from Baruch College in New York City with an industrial psychology degree. And I have been mentoring my employees for decades now. And, I was happy-go-lucky. I was married. And I had two beautiful children. I married my junior high school sweetheart. And one day we're walking through Central Park and I'm happy-go-lucky. And he sits me down on a bench. I have something to tell you, Vanessa. And I'm like, okay, and I'm still people watching. And he goes, Vanessa, hello. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And he goes, I've met someone. And my whole world shattered. Poof. Just like that. Just like Thanos in the Marvel movies, snapped his fingers and poof. Like the world just completely fell apart. And I fell into such despair. I fell into such despair and this dark cesspool and just started to blame myself. What did I do wrong? What was it? Did I not do enough? The range of emotions and the emotions from being angry to being sad, in the blink of an eye. And the rage, I would turn green and burst out of my clothes. I was so full of rage. You haven't done that yet. You haven't gone through all of the emotions yet, or are you just in one emotion where it's just overwhelming? Self-blame. Okay. So you have not self-blamed. You don't blame yourself for this at all. Okay. So she blames you. Typical. I hate to say it that way, but it's very, very typical. The betrayer blames the betrayed. You made me do this, as if we control other people. Do you have children? Yes? Okay.
No,
I'm sorry?
my computer.
Okay. Older children. But when they were younger, could you control them? Could you really control them? We don't control other people. We don't control their actions and what they do. So it's very, very silly for the people that betray us to go, it's your fault. You made me do this. No, it doesn't work that way. So I fell into this cesspool and I was trapped there for so long. It was crazy. I couldn't believe that with my background and how I've helped other people, that I was just really struggling with this. And every ounce of strength in me to pull myself out. And as I started to research, because that's how I am, I research everything, I started to realize that in order for me to heal, I needed to learn all of this information as if I was going to teach it to someone else, because I didn't want to learn it passively. Kind of like, you ever find yourself watching a TV program before the betrayal, watching a TV program and you get up to go to the bathroom or get a snack or this and that, and on the way back to the television, you don't even remember what you were watching, because it goes in and out. You watch it passively. Well, while I was trying to get through the healing journey, I didn't want it to pass through me kind of thing. I wanted to retain it. And for me, the only way for me to retain it was to listen with the intention of sharing it with someone else. And hence, that's what I do now. I share the wisdom that I've curated over all of these years to help others get through the healing process. Because dare I say, and a lot of people get very offended when I say this, you will be better for the experience. You might not feel that now. You might not feel that in 6 months. But I tell you, the moment you know that you have healed that you're closer to being healed than you are to being destroyed, is the moment that you realize that you are better for the experience, that there is something that clicked in you that pushed you forward, and you're better. You're better for the experience. Not that I wish betrayal on anyone. Please don't misunderstand me. I don't. It's the worst feeling ever. And I'm sure that throughout your life, you've had your dips, your catastrophes. And at the moment, they were catastrophes. But now they pale in comparison to what you're feeling right now. And your children are smart. You need to listen to them because they are absolutely true, that you will be better for the experience. And sometimes one of the reasons for betrayal, it's the number 2 reason why, because that's the question I get a lot from my male clients. Why did she do this? Why did she cheat on me? I've been a great provider. I've been a good husband. I've been faithful. I've done all the right things, you name it, I've done it. Why would she do this? Okay. The number 2 reason is because she wanted out and she didn't know how to do it. Kind of, have you ever seen the movie The Godfather? Yeah. Remember when his wife, she wanted out and she knew that the only way she could do it was to abort his son. That would make him angry enough to, out you go. Otherwise, she would never have gotten out. And sometimes women feel that way. And therefore, they know that if they betray, it'll get them out. So that's the number 2 reason why. Just so that you're aware of it. What's the number 1 reason why? Low self-esteem. Exactly. And then you put the 2 together. Oh my God, it's a recipe for disaster, but it's still not an excuse. I want to make sure that that's crystal clear. There is no excuse for betrayal. If you want out of your relationship, you have to talk. You have to say it over and over again. If you feel that low self-esteem and you feel that the attraction of another man comes into play and you feel something, you need to talk to your husband and be like, hey, listen, there's something brewing. I haven't done anything. I don't want to do anything. But the fact that I'm getting this attention from this other man is stirring up something in me, and we need to work on our relationship. So that kind of happens. So very, very interesting. It's been too long for me to remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you have to watch the movie again. One of those movies about loyalty. It's a very big movie about loyalty. It's about family, loyalty again. I mean, loyalty is the theme all the way through all of the movies on The Godfather. But that pivotal scene about her wanting out and him not letting her out until she aborted his son, like he knew she knew that was it. That she was going to be released with nothing but released in any event. So here I am in front of you. I have years and years of experience now. I have a lot of clinical hours underneath my belt. Initially, I started working with women because I'm a woman. I know how it felt. And it was very, very interesting. My very, very first client that I had, he and I met. We were at a gallery. My husband and I were at a gallery showing, and this other couple were there. And I was, you can't miss me because I have the pink in my hair. And the woman who curated the gallery showing, Evelyn, runs up to me. Oh my God, Vanessa, you're here. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And she pulls this other couple in. Oh my God, you have to meet Vanessa. What she does, she's a betrayal specialist. She helps couples, dealing with betrayal. And so she's amazing. Oh, wait, I see somebody else. And then she took off and she was gone. And leaving me and my husband standing in front of another couple. And, they look at us and people automatically look me over because the pink is very striking and stuff, especially when I have my hair down. And then they automatically look at my husband because they've said the word betrayal. And now they look to my husband, and my husband nods and he goes, yeah, I fucked up. I fucked up. But look at her. She's amazing. Look what she does. And now she helps others and stuff. And the wife couldn't wait to get away. Like she hightailed it. She was gone, leaving me with John, me and my husband. And I kind of shooed my husband away. I'm like, you got to go too, kind of thing and whatnot. So me and John are standing in front of this painting, and when you're in an art gallery, what do? You dissect the artwork, So we're standing there, very, very, very quiet. 7 minutes go by, not a word. And then John says, you work with men? And I said, of course, I can work with men. Okay. How do I reach out to you? And I said, understandingear.com. That's how you can find me. Understandingear.com. I said, okay. And that was it. I don't give out business cards. I'm like the best kept secret in New York. I just go from referral to referral type of thing. The next day, John called. It took him 10 minutes to finally get something out of his mouth. He was sobbing. He couldn't believe what he was experiencing. And we winded up talking for 4 hours. Not like this, where we're typing and talking, but we talked for about 4 hours and he got it all out, because that was the most important thing, is to get it out, because you have to own your story. You do. It's great that you typed it out. It's great that you write it out, but you actually have to say it out loud. It's really, really important for your mind to hear how you say it. It's also important for whomever you're speaking to, especially if they're skilled in listening, how you say it. Because 1 degree of pivot on how you say something changes it. And I'll give you a perfect example. Have you ever watched the show Friends?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, you're familiar with it. Okay, so Ross finds out about Chandler and Monica. Okay, and it's a scene of the 3 of them. So Ross looks at both Monica and Chandler, and he's angry, and he goes, my sister and my best friend. And then Monica says, but I love him. And Chandler says, and I love her. And what does Ross do? Oh, my sister and my best friend. He says the exact same words, but the tone and the fact that it went from anger to, same words, exact same words, but how the feeling around those words come into play. So when you share your story, you have to be authentic in how you feel. And if you're angry, I'm angry, and maybe today you're angry about it and tomorrow you're sad about it. And the next day you're curious about it. Like, okay, wait a second. Why did this happen? What do I want to do about it? And what decisions do I need to make? And how do I protect myself? And how do I protect my children? Even though my children are adults, by definition, they're adults, but they're going through this process with you and with your soon-to-be ex as well. So do keep that in mind. It's a lot, very challenging, and it's a lot to go through. So I'm going to take a couple of moments to read a couple of different questions that I received, just for the benefit of those that asked questions. They'll see the recording, and then we'll go through that. Speaking of the recording, I just want you to be aware that you will not be seen on the recording, okay? And the chat doesn't show up on the recording as well, and you'll notice that I've never said your name either. So I respect your privacy. So when this launches on YouTube or any of the other socials that I'm on, you'll only see me, okay? Just so you're aware of it. So Jill threw in a question for me about trauma response, because when you go through trauma, there is a response that you have. Something comes up. Sometimes it's things from childhood, the way you used to soothe yourself as a child, whether that was hugging a pillow or twirling a pen or something of that sort. So she mentioned, I find that I'm biting my nails incessantly. Is this a trauma response to the cheating? So my answer to that is, if it's soothing you, if there's something about having your fingers in your mouth you find soothing, then yes, it is a trauma response. It's also something that you control, because these are your fingers, these are your nails, you control them. I had done a blog post on hair as a trauma response, because for me, that was my trauma response. I used to have hair all the way down my back. It was salt and pepper and bangs. And that's how I was for 20 years. It was just the way it was. And the first discovery day of I've met someone, I chopped it to my shoulders. Huge, drastic change. I mean, people were freaking out over it. Then I dyed it all one color, so I lost the gray. Even though the gray was hard earned, I lost the gray. And then I went in and I was like, okay, can you shave a side? And my hairdresser was like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, shave the side. And then the next trauma that happened, because it's not just one thing. Unfortunately, there's a series of things. And in my case, there was a series of things. So then we shaved off another side. Then it was the pink, add the pink in. And that's been it. I haven't done anything else to my hair. Why? Because the trauma stopped. So for me, that was my trauma response. For others, be on the lookout for it. It's something that soothes you. If I could put a word of caution, do not have it be alcohol or drugs. Okay? It's very tempting to numb out, because the pain is just too much to bear sometimes. And we know that alcohol, just like that, can numb you out. Something a little over the counter or something illicit, can also, don't fall into that. Don't replace your pain with an addiction. You don't want to go down that road. So that's my word of caution. But if, you're hugging a pillow a certain way, or, if you want a tub of ice cream, keep in mind, you're going to pack on the pounds, but, if that's what you want, that's what you want, kind of thing. But there will be a trauma response. Give into that. Don't fight it, because what's going on is your nervous system is looking for something to soothe it, to settle it down. If you can breathe, that would be great. And I know a lot of my clients are like, what are you talking about? I breathe all day long. No, there's a difference. There's a difference of, it's called for me, it's the 5-5-5 rule. You breathe in for 5, you hold for 5, you release for 5, you wait for 5. And then you do it all over again, and you do it 5 times. And you'd be surprised how that settles down your nervous system. So when you feel that angst and that starting to come up, breathe into it. So, Jill, great question. Thank you for asking. Janice, I watched your reel on Instagram about toothpaste. I want to share my story with the whole world, but at the same time, I'm way too ashamed. What do I do? So I'm going to take it that based on your reaction, you have not seen that Instagram reel that I did. Toothpaste. What it is it's not, toothpaste is the metaphor for what I'm going to talk about. It relates to wanting to tell the whole world what has been done to you, and telling everybody that you know that you've been cheated on. You do it for a couple of different reasons. One, for validation. One, for sympathy. One can be to get into victim mode, to feel that sympathy from everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. What can I do? That type of thing. And that in and of itself can become very addictive, because you're getting all that sympathy from everybody else, but that's not helping you heal. It's validating. It is validating to hear from others. That's if They do validate. Now, some people in your circles might not do that. Some people in your circles might run for the hills because they almost feel like it's contagious. Oh my God, you were cheated on. No, 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 no. Don't get anywhere near me. Don't stink. Don't put that stink on me. I don't want that. And they disappear. They ghost you. And it's like, wait a second, when I need you the most, you're gone. It's that type of thing. So you need to be really, really careful, because once you let that toothpaste out of the tube, you can't get it back. So hence the reason toothpaste. So what would I do? And what I suggest to a lot of my clients is to pause, to wait, to not share it in anger, not share it when you're feeling so vulnerable, because their responses might start compounding your hurt, especially if they disappear, especially if they agree. Like, yeah, you've been a schmuck. You deserve that. What? We've been friends for so long. You're my cousin. You're my brother-in-law. Oh, how dare you say that? And what happens is we displace our anger from our spouse to this person who doesn't agree. And that's not right either. You're just displacing the anger when the anger is rightfully so directed at your spouse. So do keep that in mind. So great question, Janice. Thank you so much for asking it. Do appreciate it. Mark over on Facebook wrote, I can't sleep. I close my eyes and I see her with him. I get so angry and I can't focus on anything. I'm afraid that I'll snap at someone if they look cross-eyed at me. I feel like a chump. It's been 4 months. Mark, this is tough. It is. It's absolutely tough. You do need to sleep. You absolutely need to sleep. You cannot function if you are not sleeping. And if you have children, you are going to snap at them unnecessarily. They are going through this with you, believe it or not. As much as you feel like you're shielding them, they still feel it. So sleep is really, really important. But like I mentioned before, alcohol is not the answer. If you can, in speaking to your primary care physician, get something to help you sleep, that would be ideal. It would be helpful. Do not become addicted to it. You do need to get some rest. You do. And you need to have those ruminating thoughts that are going through like a merry-go-round. You need to settle those down. Absolutely. So lots of techniques that you can use. You can find them all over YouTube and whatnot, but you have to sleep. You do. All right, Mark, thank you so much for asking the question. Debbie, you asked, each day it's harder and harder to cope. He is trying, but he keeps making it about him and his needs. He says he's just broken. It's me that's broken. I feel lost and hurt with no one to talk to. Whew. There's a lot to unpack there, Debbie. There's a lot to unpack there. When your partner wants to make it work, like they want to be forgiven, it's a long road. It absolutely is. And it's a slow and steady road. And you will take 2 steps forward and you will take 1 step back. You will. It'll just happen. There will be slips. There will be triggers. You have to anticipate that. And you have to know that that is coming. Most important, you have to speak to somebody. You have got to get the words out of your mouth and share your story. And the more you share your story, it becomes a lifeline for someone else. And you will, in fact, heal. And as I've mentioned before, you will be better for the experience. And right now, at this moment in time, you're feeling just, I'm getting worse and worse. Sometimes we need to take a couple of steps back to get a running start. And that's probably where you are now. So don't fight it. Walk into it, release it, and then move forward. And it's okay. It's okay that you're not okay. Nobody expects you to be at this moment in time. This is hard. It's hard work, but you can absolutely do this. You absolutely can. And if he is trying to do the right thing in his mind of trying to repair this and rebuild, and you want to give him that opportunity to do so, then do so. It's your choice. Again, his actions, he did this. Your action is whether you decide to stay or to go. And it's not a decision to make right at this moment in time, not when you're hurting so much. Alrighty, 2 more questions. Kevin, why? Why did she cheat on me? As I mentioned at the top of the hour, there's lots and lots of different reasons, and you can see all those reasons on my website. I have lots of resources available for you at understandingear.com /betrayed men. There's a whole list of these 7 top reasons that women cheat. And as I mentioned before, the second top reason is wanting out of the relationship. So keep that in mind. It's something that you're going to need to ask, do you want out? And I know that sounds really strange because you would think, well, wouldn't she tell me? Maybe she has, and indirectly, maybe she hasn't come right out with the words that are understood. I want out. And if I don't get out, I'm going to cheat on you. Yeah, no, nobody really ever says that. But in the fact, that could be what it is. So do keep that in mind. Another great resource, and you'll see it both on my website and also Real Men Feel, realmenfeel.org. That is a great website resource for men to be able to use. I had the privilege of being a guest on the podcast. Episode 301 was You as the Betrayer, Man as the Betrayer. And then 303 is Man is the Betrayed. And those are very helpful. We have a great discussion about that as well. So I would strongly suggest that you do listen to that podcast. There are lots of resources within as well. And the last question that was submitted, this was submitted again over on Facebook. Mary, you had asked how to slow down or stop all the thoughts that race through my head. One thought leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to another. How do I make it stop? First and foremost, you need to pause. Even just hitting that pause button, just pause. It's really, really difficult, and you will spiral. That's what's happening. It's not even just a merry-go-round, which just goes around in a circle and a circle. You actually start to spiral all the way down. And you will find that you will get to a point where you don't even remember how this started, the thought started, because you have now catastrophized the whole thing. And you've made it, 1,000 times more than actually what it started as, because you are ruminating over all of the situations. And if you're like me, at the time, I replayed my 30-year marriage on a reel that I just went over and over every single touch point. What did I do here? Maybe if I had done this differently. Well, maybe if I had done that different. Well, what if I did this? Or what if I did that? Or what if I didn't say this? What if I didn't nag that? And just over and over and over again. And in essence, what I was doing to myself was I was beating myself up. He did this. And meanwhile, I'm the one that's suffering. He can sleep great because he got it off his chest. I've met someone. Meanwhile, I'm falling apart. Really? Doesn't seem fair. But in any event, those ruminating thoughts, you have to control those. And that's hard. It is. And you have what I refer to for the ladies, nasty chick voice. You have that voice in your head that's just, men have it too. Most of the time with men, it's their father or their buddies. Yeah, I never liked her, kind of thing. And they will beat you down because of that. Now, a great comedian. Actually, I don't want to refer to him as a comedian, commentary, Dan Savage. He's over in Seattle. He's brilliant. He said something very, very interesting about divorce. And he said that when, people comment about divorce, it invokes a sympathy as if, oh, I'm so sorry. Whereas, if there's a death, meaning, there's a widow, it invokes a different response. Oh, well, you had 30 years together, or however the long the duration was. Congratulations, at least you had 30 years together. But with divorce, the same thing. Both spouses are still alive, but it invokes a different response from people. And he disagrees. He says, people should be like, yeah, congratulations, you got to 20 years and then you realized it wasn't working and you got out. But for 20 years, it was good. It was obviously good at some point. So congratulations, you got through 20 years. And I say that to a lot of my clients because I want them, for those that decide that their relationship is dissolving, not to view the whole thing. It's not this all or nothing or never. We don't want to speak in absolutes. At some point, there was love. At some point, there was caring. At some point, there was compassion. If there's children involved, at some point, there was just that gratitude. It was there, and then it disappeared. And that's okay. Will it happen again with someone else? Of course. Absolutely. Nobody will ever, never fall in love again. If they want it, it'll be there. You have to want it. If you don't want it, then that's fine too. If you want to be in solitude, that's great. Now, there's a difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is by choice. Loneliness, not necessarily. So do keep that in mind. So hopefully I've answered all the questions. Jill, Janice, Mark, Debbie, Kevin, and Mary, thank you so much for asking those questions. I'm just going to take a look at the chat real quick. I've had to talk both my children down from fighting with her. Yes, very hard, especially towards the betrayed person, because she is still their mother. She still has a relationship with them that's independent of you as her husband. And they will be angry. They will be. My son ghosted my husband for 6 months, looked right through him as if he was not there. And we all lived under the same roof. And he didn't even see him, wasn't even there. And that was really, really hard for my husband, very much so. But children, adult children, regular children, middle-aged children, middle school children, elementary school children, they all process it very differently. And they do. And I have 2 children, and they each processed it completely different. And whereas my son ghosted my husband, my daughter leaned into him, like, why, what's going on? Why would you do this? Kind of thing. She was curious. She had curiosity related to it, which was good because it allowed my husband to talk and to get it out and to say his side of the situation, because there are different sides. Of course they are. As betrayed, we only see it from our point of view. We see it from the anger and everything else. But as we start to heal, we become curious as well. And we want to know what was there. And sometimes for a lot of clients, as they're going through the transformation process, they're starting to heal, they're starting to see the benefit of this situation, because every situation you have throughout your life, regardless of what it is, even if you have a terrible childhood, whatever it is, that moment in time changes your trajectory. And you are where you are now at this moment in time based on the circumstances of the past. And if you change any of those circumstances in the past, changes the trajectory. Think of Back to the Future, type of thing. So the dots go. And you have to keep that in mind. And you have to think of it in a way of, at some point in the future, you will look back And you will recognize, not that this happened for a reason. I don't want to say that, but this happened to change the trajectory of your life. There was somewhat of a reason for it. So, you did some mindfulness in my dissertation. Refer back to it. Mindfulness is great. Being self-aware of what you are experiencing and putting a name to it is so vital and so important, because once you can name something, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling emotional, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling rage, I'm feeling sadness. You put a name to it, it allows it to soften. Because when you can't put a name on it, your brain goes into hyperdrive. It agonizes over, oh my God, what am I feeling? And it becomes so overwhelmed, you can have a panic attack. You don't want that. You want to be able to respond to what's going on, not react, respond. Because when you can respond, you're rational. You are. And you feel more in control. And that's what you need. You need to have a sense of control. Hence, we circle back to the hair. For me, I wanted to control something. And what could I have? Yes, exactly. What could I control? My hair, type of thing. So yes. And as your body goes through stress, you will either eat way too much, not eat enough, drink way too much, water, liquid, whatever, not alcohol. We're going back to that, not alcohol. You will have coping strategies. Make sure they're healthy coping strategies. When I first was going through betrayal, I joined CrossFit. There was something about lifting weights that I was just like, I love the grunting, the whole 9 yards. I'm telling you, a completely different person than I was before D-Day. And people who haven't seen me in a decade and they see me now, they're like, whoa, complete transformation. But I love who I am now. And I am grateful for the betrayal, because it shoved me in a direction that I would not have gone in. I wouldn't. I would have just lived out my happy life, just being happy-go-lucky and being married and 2 kids and the C-suite career and everything else, and living by everybody else's design. Well, I don't now. You see me walking into business meetings, because again, I'm still a chief operating officer of a company. I walk into a meeting with pink hair and people are like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, this is me. This is exactly who I am. I speak my truth. I share my story, and I own it. And I own it, and I am comfortable in my own skin. And I never realized that I actually before was not comfortable in my skin. I thought I was, because I was everything to everyone else. And that's what men who are betrayed feel, that they feel this society pressure of being the provider, of being, the faithful husband, that everything to their family. And then this grenade explodes in their life. And a lot of it brings up shame. And shame for men is terrible. It is a really bad emotion. And it's one that can suck you in and hold on to you for dear life. And you have to be careful with that. And that's where it's really important to talk to somebody. You need to get it out. And talking to your children, while it's you feel like it's helpful because you're helping each other, not with the shame aspect. The shame aspect is something that you, as a man, need to deal with when you have that experience, because your children are looking to you for your strength. Yes, they can see your vulnerability. Now, vulnerability and shame are 2 different things. Don't confuse them. Shame is different from vulnerability. They need to see your vulnerability. They need to see your hurt. Why? Because when they see your strength later on, oh my goodness, that will be their life lesson. My family went through something really traumatic, but my father, or the betrayed, one who was betrayed, in this case, we'll say the father. My father, yeah, he hurt. He was suffering, but then he did these steps, these things, and he's so much better. He's so much better for it now. And you want your kids to say that. You want to overhear them say it to their friends, to their siblings, to anybody, that they are proud of you. And they will be, because you will be better for the experience. You will. So let's take a nice deep breath in. Heavy duty. We covered a lot of material. We did. A lot of nuggets in there for you. Pick them out. Some of the things will resonate with you. Others, yeah, just toss them. Just absolutely toss them. When we have a one-sided conversation, it's a little challenging, but we made it work. We absolutely made it work. Very much so. Any closing thoughts?
Look at the chat.
In the chat. Okay. Well, you definitely know how to find me. Again, I'm on understandingear.com is my website. My Instagram, where I put in motivational type of things, daily tips, things of that nature, is trusted_advisor_for_betrayal. I am on Facebook. Exact same handle, trusted_advisor_for_betrayal. Also on Facebook is Understanding Ear. So I want to explain, if I could, where Understanding Ear comes from. It is a Stephen King quote.
I saw that.
Yeah. So absolutely love it. For those that are listening in, there's a book. Stephen King wrote a book of short stories called Different Seasons. The most famous one in there is Shawshank Redemption, which was originally called To Rita Hayworth with Love, I believe. And then there's another one, which is, you taught that book. Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. And that quote at the start of Stand By Me, The Body, which was renamed Stand By Me, is a very long quote, but I've condensed it, and it in essence says the most important things are the hardest things to say, not for the want of a teller, but for the want of an understanding ear. So when I decided that I was going to specialize in betrayal, I knew that understanding ear needed to be my URL. And I thought for sure I'd have to fight somebody for it. And it was available. So Destiny just opened up and said, hey, come and take this URL. And I did. And that's how I've been known as Understanding Ear. And we go from there. So it has been my honor and privilege this evening. Again, we do this the second Monday of every month. However, next month, I do need to change it. It will not be on the 10th. It'll either be on the 17th or the 24th. I will drop it into the meetup group as well as Facebook and Instagram, which Monday it will be, but then thereafter, it will always be the second Monday of every month. Again, submit your questions for answers. As you can see, those that are unable to show up, I do read your questions, provided that we have time, and do answer them. So hopefully you got the answers that you need. And you can always find me at understandingear.com. Thank you so much for the honor and privilege of helping you on your healing journey. Beautiful.